Hello, I'm Carolyn LaWell, Chief Content Officer at BONEZONE, and joining me is Dan Cook, our Senior Editor, and we are here today to share with you a preview of the March issue. Dan, you put so much work into, deciding which articles are going to go into every print issue and uh, doing the interviews, writing the stories, editing. Let's just talk about few of the highlights that you thought were important from the March issue. Let's start news. So first, we had our OSMA update on EU MDR. Can you share a little bit about what is happening with the regulation today?
Sure. Thanks, Carolyn. Yeah, it was, as you know, EUMDR has been a source of angst for orthopedic companies for many years. They're frustrated with the red tape and the delays in getting their products certified in Europe. So, in late 2024, the European Commission proposed some directives to speed up the process, streamline things, make communication a lot better, and try to um, decrease some of the backlog in terms of getting devices to market. I had the opportunity to speak with Eric Volenbrandt, a life sciences and IP lawyer based in Amsterdam, and he was a wealth of information. He's actively involved on the scene there in terms of trying to improve the process. In the short term, the European Commission is proposing that notified bodies have the explicit right to share information about the clinical performance expectations of medical devices at the start of the process. And he said that represents a huge step forward in terms of fostering better communication and predictability in the certification process. Right now, they don't have that ability, and they must remain impartial, which doesn't give device companies a lot of information on the front end, and so they might start the process, go down the road a little bit, and then find out they have to start again in terms of providing the data and information that the notified bodies need. So he said that's a really big step in the right direction, and that proposed change could take place in the first quarter of this year. It hasn't yet at the time of publication, but we're keeping an eye out for it.
Certainly, EU MDR has been a saga over the last decade plus for orthopedic device companies. And so, certainly as companies have, gone through this transition and really tried to prioritize the US market now over the EU just due to the complexity of MDR. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and if they are able to, make the regulations less complex and easier for orthopedic companies to really be on the market in Europe.
Yeah, you're right. And, Vollebrecht also pointed out that there are some proposed changes that might have a longer, bigger effect that might, be enacted later this year. He mentioned eliminating the standard 5-year recertification process. He actually said that they're thinking about adapting some of the FDA systems. The FDA has done a great job of streamlining their 510K clearance process, and that's what Europe is trying to move in that direction.
Certainly something to watch in the months to come. Another topic that we wrote about is joint replacement and specifically joint replacements moving to ASCs. There's really no hotter topic right now, it seems like, in, our coverage than, the movement of procedures from the hospital to the ASC setting. So can you just share a little bit about what that article was about and, what's important for companies right now as they're looking to transition and really make sure that their products are the right fit for the ASC environment.
We focused on the joint replacement space in cases moving to the ASCs. And OrthoWorld says that the joint replacement segment accounts for 36% of the $61 billion global market. Interestingly, the American Joint Replacement Registry said that a little over 62,000 joint replacements are performed in ASCs in 2023, and that's 70% more than the previous year. So the migration continues, and we spoke to several companies in the enabling technology space who are designing platforms that are more streamlined, perhaps not as expensive, to make them more accessible in the ASCs. For instance, Ortholine was granted FDA 510 clearance of the Lantern hip navigation technology in October 2024. Nick Aldrich, Vice President of Marketing at Ortholine, told us that that platform reflects the company's vision in terms of increasing the accessibility of empowering technologies, giving surgeons that the benefits of navigation in a streamlined package at the bedside. So, he had some interesting insights in terms of saying that the next step is in surgical care is leveraging data to create more compact, efficient tools that reduce the cost of care and streamline operations. We also spoke to Stuart Simpson, the CEO of Think Surgical, and as you know, they've been, really pushing for an open implant library for their T-Mini handheld robotic system, and that those efforts continue. They signed on several implant manufacturers last year, and he believes that the T-Mini is the future of robotic assistance, especially in the outpatient setting in ASCs where cost of care is a concern. They might not have the big budgets to spend on a floor-based robotic system, and also their operating rooms tend to be a little bit smaller. So having a handheld system really speaks to what's important in an ASC. He also mentioned that the setup for the device takes about 5 minutes for a surgical team to get it ready for surgery again, which is an important aspect in an ASC where efficiency, fast turnovers between cases, that's the real key of success and thriving in that setting.
Right. Enabling technology and ASCs will certainly be something that we'll continue to watch and keep readers abreast of as we move forward. So I think, Dan, just to move on to the next article, right? One of the things that we both love about our jobs is the ability to interview people and really understand the advice that they have to provide to their other peers in the industry. Our work-life interview this issue was with Ryan Watson, the VP of R&D at High Ridge Medical. He gave so many great points that I think anybody that's an engineer or in product development will be able to relate to. What were some of your takeaways from that interview?
Yeah, you said it. It was very interesting to talk to Ryan, had a great conversation, and I learned a ton about, he kind of pulled back the curtain on what it's like to run an R&D team in a company that's really focused on innovation. So he had some really good insights into what goes on, within his team and how they focus on looking for that next big thing in orthopedics. He talked about, having a project hopper, which is a pipeline of planned projects, always in the works, always churning. When he decides on where to allocate the company's resources, he knows he has to focus on, some key questions he asks. Will the new device fill a product gap to catch up with the competition? Is it a differentiating device that will allow High Ridge to kind of stand out in a meaningful way in the industry? Or is it an entirely new opportunity that could, create groundbreaking innovation? So those are the things he considers when he's trying to decide where to throw his resources. Ryan said that it's important to develop a pipeline of products that both focus on some longer term goals of maybe some differentiating products that might not succeed, but they would be groundbreaking and a home run if they do, combined with some more core products. He mentioned like a pedicle screw system. If the company's in the spine space, and if you don't have an effective pedicle screw, then you're not going to compete on a more practical level. So he talked about finding that balance in your pipeline, which I thought was very interesting. He also talked about, you have to look for not only the next big thing in terms of products, but also in terms of talent. He tries to fill his R&D team with a mix of industry veterans who know kind of the ins and outs of spine, with some fresh new talent that might be fresh out of engineering school, who might bring a new thought, new way of thinking, and a new way of looking at a problem that he values. So he talked about just finding that mix too within his team. He also mentioned the importance of going to annual conferences. We'll be heading to AAOS next month, and he'll be there in terms of walking the floor, looking at new products, sitting in education sessions, just to keep a pulse of what's new and what's interesting. Some companies might approach High Ridge with a product that they might want to tie into their product portfolio, and he said some of those strategic acquisitions combined with organic development, create a flywheel of innovation that, helps keep the R&D cycle turning.
Yeah, those are all great pieces of advice. Um, one of the other things from that interview that resonated with me was the importance of cross-functional work within a company, right? We talk about this all of the time, and he mentioned that sometimes, R&D is revving to go. They have this new idea, and really you have to back off. You have to maybe wait for sales to get through the process on another product that was just launched, or based on where you are with the needs of your supply chain and manufacturing. So clearly a lot of great insight that was provided in that interview. Another great interview, Dan, that you did for the March issue was with Dr. Ryan Krupp, who is a shoulder surgeon, and that full interview can be found on our YouTube channel. What were some of the takeaways from, talking with this orthopedic surgeon, ortho innovator in the industry?
He had some really good insights into, the unique challenges of designing surgical tools for a robot, including, software iterations and mechanical constraints. So he provided a lot of interesting feedback there. And he talked about the importance of robotic surgery and data collection. And, that's an important theme in orthopedics today, is just, closing that feedback loop with clinical data captured by enabling technology. And he stressed the importance of that and how that's going to inform the future of orthopedic care and, the design of implants. So he's really passionate about that. And then he talked about his other passion, which is shoulder repair and replacement. He said that there's growing demand for shoulder replacement, and it's an interesting place for focus on innovation in orthopedics. He was involved with the OsteoFit stemless implant, which Zimmer Biomet received FDA clearance for recently. And he said that optimizes the fixation and rotational stability of the shoulder based on a patient's individual CT scan. So again, another theme, personalized medicine and just finding that exact right fit for specific patients. He also talked about the challenges of rotator cuff repair, especially with re-tears on some of the bigger injuries, bigger tears. So he provided a lot of great insights in terms of what's going on in the shoulder, which sometimes doesn't get as much attention perhaps as the hips and knees, but he's pushing a lot of innovation in that space. And he talked about the importance of collaboration between surgeons and engineers. It's that communication and that teamwork. Surgeons understand the clinical needs that need to be fit, and the engineers can help them, meet those needs. So it's an important collaboration in the industry, and he's definitely at the forefront of those efforts.
Great. Thanks so much for that insight. I guess one last shout out for the issue would be that we're previewing OMTech, the Orthopedic Manufacturing and Technology Exposition and Conference, which is the event that us, Ortho World, puts on every year in June. And right, you and I, Dan, are, I think, putting together a stellar lineup of education. There will be 200 plus exhibitors at the event. We launch registration at the end of February. So we're looking forward to a really great event and look forward to seeing many of you there at OMTech.
Yeah, can't wait. And check out the issue for some of the highlights, both from the education program and some of the networking events we have. We have some prizes this year, some new events. So it's going to be a really great time, and we're looking forward to seeing everyone.
Great. We'll leave it there. Dan, thank you for joining me to provide highlights from the March issue. And I'm just going to slip in here at the end that we did a whole new redesign of the magazine. It has a more modern and reader-friendly design, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on the new look. So happy reading, whether you're doing it in print or you're doing it online at bonezonepub.com/magazine. And finally, we are expanding our BONEZONE videos. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you're alerted to more content updates. Thanks for watching.